The Toronto Raptors, being a play-in team last season, have changed a lot this season, adding new players, losing their second best player, and drafting a young stud. Many sources and power rankings have Toronto being the 21st best team, the 23rd best team, and even as bad as the 26th best team. But is this where Toronto really is? Today I'll be going in deeply and explaining everything about the Toronto Raptors and how they are the most underrated team this season. Starting off with what Toronto lost this season: Fred VanVleet, Delano Banton, Nick Nurse, and Adrian Griffin. Fred VanVleet, an undrafted guard from Wichita State who developed insanely to an all-star in Toronto, recently signed a contract with Houston which pays him over $40 million a year. He was Toronto's best three-point shooter and arguably their best player in the 21-22 season, where he was named an all-star. It'll be exciting to watch him play as a veteran alongside the young core Houston has built, which has Jalen Green, Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, and many other awesome players. Delano Banton, on the other hand, who averaged 3.7 points in his first two seasons, Toronto, playing approximately 10 minutes, has been balling in his second preseason game, where he scored 20 points despite horrible three-point shooting. He averaged 6.8 points a game in the 5 preseason games with Boston, and has a pretty good future as a role player. And now for arguably the best addition Toronto has this season, Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder averaged a solid 14 points and 4.7 assists per game in his career, is coming off a FIBA World Cup gold medal, plus being awarded the FIBA World Cup MVP in a tournament that featured NBA stars like Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and basically the entire USA team. If you look at previous players who won that award, you'll see stars like Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Paul Gasol, Dirk Nowitzki, Shaq, and many more great legends. Schroeder's confidence will be skyrocketing, and it'll be a fun season watching him play in Toronto. Next up is a new young player who signed a 2-year deal with Toronto, Jalen McDaniels. McDaniels is a 6'9", 25-year-old forward who isn't the greatest player potential-wise and skill-wise, but he can provide you good defense and is an average catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. Last season in Philly, he averaged 9.4 points in nearly 24 minutes a game, shooting around 46% from the field, 33% from beyond the arc, and a solid 84% from the free throw line. He also pulled down 4.3 boards and dished out 1.6 assists a game. He cooled down in the playoffs, but seeing the versatility he brings to both ends of the floor and looking at all the great players developed in Toronto makes it exhilarating to see. And now for an already fan favorite player, the 13th pick from the 2023 NBA Draft, Grady Dick. The 6'8" wing played college basketball for the Kansas Jayhawks, where he was viewed as a 5-star recruit and probably the best sharpshooters from his draft class. Plus, Grady is a savvy cutter and floor spacer who processes the game at an NBA level already. He had some amazing highlights in the Summer League and preseason to make Raptors fans excited. Let's go, Dick. OG Anunoby is a defensive menace who found himself a spot in the second all-defensive team last season. He also led the league in steals per game. Unfortunately for the Raptors, OG is a free agent next season, and recently a Bleacher Report came out saying OG will rebuff Toronto's next contract extension as he eyes 2024 free agency. He reportedly plans to enter free agency next summer and will not agree to a long-term contract extension. Anunoby also has the option of accepting his $19.9 million player option for 2024 to 25 season if things go well. Raptors need to either do really well this season or trade OG by the deadline, so they don't lose OG like they lost Fred VanVleet for nothing. Moving on to another free agent next season, the Raptors star, Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam's draft night comparison was a guy named Jordan Mickey, who was a nobody in the 3 seasons he played. But unlike Mickey, Siakam was determined and proved to be a star in the NBA. He's a recipient of the Most Improved Player award, a 2-time All-NBA, and a 2-time All-Star selection, as well as an NBA champion. Nobody expected him to be where he is today, but he's proved the world wrong, and he proved that he's a top 25 player in the league right now. Siakam had the best offensive season of his career, averaging 24.2 points per game, and had 7.8 rebounds as well as 5.8 assists a game, averaging 17 points a game in his 7 Toronto seasons. He's a huge fan favorite and has been the best Raptor since Kawhi left 5 seasons ago. He's averaged nearly better than Kawhi in everything but steals and shooting splits. Unfortunately, he's a free agent like OG, but unlike Anunoby, he made it clear that he wants to stay in Toronto and that he's loyal. But unfortunately, the Raptors front office hasn't been able to make an extension deal. Gary Trent Jr., a young 24-year-old guard who's been in Toronto for the last 3 years, has averaged 17.3 points per game with Toronto. He isn't the best passer, but he is a great scorer with a defensive mindset. He averaged 1.6 steals last season, placing 5th in steals, right behind Delon Wright, Jimmy Butler, and teammates OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet. He's still young and probably hasn't hit his prime yet. He will play a big role off the bench and can turn into a star in his future. And another small player I'd like to talk about is Christian Coloco. He's unfortunately out indefinitely due to respiratory issues, but when he returns, I hope he takes a big leap in his game. His offensive game needs work, but his defensive game, his blocks, were the best part about him last season. He had a game with 6 blocks last season, and hopefully he would turn out to be a defensive player like Rudy Gobert and Anthony Davis. And finally, the Raptors' future franchise player, Scottie Barnes. Scottie did not take a big step stat-wise from his rookie to sophomore season, but his impact for his team has changed. The 22-year-old forward has shown his offensive effort in the preseason game so far. He even had a game where he had 22 points and filled the stat line. The former Rookie of the Year has a bright future and hopefully turns out to be a player, like we hope, who would be possibly a Magic Johnson or a Giannis Antetokounmpo. Overall, Toronto made changes this season, and under Darko's coaching staff, the Raptors will probably thrive, and fortunately for starters like Siakam, they would be playing less time, unlike what they did under Nick Nurse. This team has youth, veterans, and stars, and people aren't rating them properly. I hope Toronto makes a playoff push, and as of today, they are undefeated in the 3 preseason games they played so far. As a Raptors fan, I shouldn't be worried with what the media says. Hopefully this team would prove everyone wrong and the departure of Fred VanVleet wouldn't hurt them at all. So what do you all think about the Raptors right now? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you can check out when I upload again. Make sure to check out my Instagram page where I just hit 300 followers recently for lists, polls, stats, opinions, takes, and awesome content. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description, so yeah, splashy out.